As I said, remember, when you find your builder, very, very important thing is ask them what their day rate is. This will manage expectations on what it'll be, and also then ask them, tell them what you expect to pay. So make sure they're within reason. Hi everybody, Harvey here. So I hope you can hear me okay. So I've got this mic on, this remote mic, and it's been a bit of a rush. Sorry to be a bit sweaty. I've just finished a hit workout with my wife, so I'm just trying to get everything together. I'm going to try and aim at 11 o'clock every week, but because I have my son on a Saturday, Monday to Thursday, my wife gets up with my son, and Friday, Saturday and Sunday I get up with him. So my wife likes her sleep, so she sleeps in. By the way, Monday to Thursday I don't sleep in, I get up and work, but either way. Yeah, so the weekend, depending on what time she gets up and what time we finish our workout, it's going to aim at 11. But I'll try and keep it as close to 11 as possible. But having a 2-year-old, sometimes it might just get in the way with that, and my wife's sleep might get in the way with that. This week, it's going to be the live show. Every week we're going to do a live show, mainly aimed around either the mindset you need or the tools you need to remote property invest. The group's called the Remote Property Investing Community, so it's all going to be about how you can develop remote property investing or virtual investing. So even if you live in a town that you live in, even if you live in a location, like, and invest in the same location you live in, and that's okay, you can still take these strategies to be able to work from home, to work from home, to work from a beach, to work like travelling, to go in the office if you want. But also this will make your office one more streamlined if that's the way you choose to work. I don't choose to work from an office. We've got an office in the north and we've got it up for rent because we use it so little. All my team's set up to work virtually, and the team members up there, we meet in there every now and again, but that is about it. Gonna double check to see if I'm on. Let's check everybody can hear me. I've had to turn it around. Thanks Sandeep, thanks T-I-N, sorry, thanks Katie. Just double checking. Last week I cut the top of my head out, so I'll come back and check around in a minute. Somebody can confirm they can see me okay, but I've had to turn the camera around so you can actually see what I'm doing. But I'm just trying to get my notes up. So I've got 9 tips today on remote property refurb management. So little tips and tricks that you can use to refurb and manage your property when you manage your properties on a refurbishment basis. If you want a bit deeper version of this, go on my YouTube, and I've done a little tutorial of the task management we use to do this. There's a 4-part tutorial on there where you can see I managed a refurb, and actually I started that refurb when I was in Stockton-on-Tees. I went down to Cornwall, I come to Brentwood afterwards, where I live, down to Cornwall to see my wife's nan, and then we went to Holland afterwards, and then back to Cornwall, and managed it all through that period, no differently than I would have been if I was on the ground. So I'm going to give you some tips how we do that, but if you want to see a video of the software we use with that, there's a 4-part tutorial. It's called Managing a Refurb Remotely. If anybody wants that, a link to that, put it in the comments and I'll get that. Sorry guys, as I said, I'm just trying to rush in to get this done. I'm just looking for my notes, so I'll ramble on a little bit. Here we go. So let's count these through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tips. So I'm going to give you 9 tips now. I'm going to use the whiteboard, but I apologise if there's any spelling mistakes. There might be some abbreviations because I'm a little bit dyslexic, but it just gives you a little bit of a visual so you can sort of see a little bit more to that. So even if you plan to get back in the office afterwards, creating them choices and them ways to be able to have the options is going to be really important. That's what I'm going to be sharing on these weekly lessons, and it's only going to be in this group. I'm not going to share this throughout any of my other communities. So let's get going with this. So number 1, these are probably not in order. I've not had a chance to get these directly in order, so I'll probably reline these in order. But number 1 for managing refurbs remotely, I feel, is as soon as you get the property, as soon as you get the keys and completed on that, I'm not sure this is number 1 saying that. Saying that number 1, before you get the keys, before you have the property, you want a schedule of work. So I'll make that short because writing and talking quick, it's not going to be good. So getting a schedule out, a detailed schedule at this stage. So when you do your viewings at the front end stage and you're viewing like multiple properties, You have to view between 10 to 40 properties to get an offer accepted. You want to do a really light sort of checklist. So create a checklist that you can tick off all the time for that. And then when you get to the refurb stage, you want a more detailed checklist that you can build it out. Ideally, use the software. We use iAuditor. You can build it out with photos and a really detailed list. Because then once you've got a detailed list, the amount of mistakes I made in the past was walking around with the builder and telling them what I wanted verbally, and at the end there was so many things missing. Sometimes that would be genuine because they just forgot, it was too much to remember, but sometimes I knew I was just trying to cut corners, you know. So you want a detailed list. We've got a list, what we'll come into later on with the agreement, but we've got a list that's got standard things that we want done in all of our properties, like fire alarms, like check all the doors that close all right, check all the window handles, clean out the guttering. We've got standard ones that we put on there already, which is template, which you then can then add to the rest of them. But compartmentalise down that list and that schedule of work into like outside, garden, hall, kitchen. Really helps break that down. Oh, my list has gone. Technology is great when it works good. Sorry guys, let's wait, get this list back up. So number 2 is once you've got that schedule of work, you then got to like find your builder. So preferably you might want to swap this around, but number 2 is your builder. You probably want to find your builder before you've got a schedule of works. But pre-qualify a builder. You might have one already, but using pre-qualifying tips to find a builder, like finding the builder and pre-qualifying them, little tips like you want to go on Rated People, check a trade, ask everybody you know, ask anybody and everybody. When I go into my remote location, if I'm sitting in the sauna, I ask people, I tell them what I do, get a conversation going, which I'm nervous about doing, but after you do it a number of times it becomes easier. And so you don't know anybody local that's a builder, and everybody recommends somebody. They're not always good, that's why you've got to have pre-qualifiers in place. But pre-qualifiers like your agreement, which I'll touch on is one of the tips here. Maybe I could have wrapped that into this tip here, but having agreement at the front end is very important. So finding your builder would be Rated People, check a trade, ask everyone. That is such an important one. Ask everybody you know, even online. Go on communities online. Go on the forums, go on builder forums, go on local forums where there's like you usually get street and estate forums. So if you bought an estate, try and get in them forums. Just ask everybody you know. Ask the neighbours when you pull up to the property. Just ask everybody. It's a tiresome job, and you get a lot of rejections before you find your prints. Always remember as well, quite a lot of builders are good at the start. So you always want to be out looking for builders, because quite a lot of builders will start off good, but then sometimes dip in their quality after a while, or they get really busy and don't squeeze you in, and that's not such a priority to get their feet under the table. So you want a lot of with everything you work with, whether it's a broker, builder, everything, you want to have backup versions in case they go on holiday, in case they're ill, in case they split up with their wife and go on a mad bender drinking for 2 weeks. Life circumstances can take a good person into not such a good person in a real hurry sometimes. You always want backups. Also, this is good to show them that you don't only need them. You know, but also it's diligent to try and get a few quotes, you know, so always try and get 2 quotes, unless you've worked with, if you've got 3 builders and you know one's free at a time, you know their pricing and you know it's right. Sometimes it's not worth the hassle. If you know your other builder's not available for 2 weeks, you've got one builder there and you know it's the right price, then you take your judgment on not getting more than 1 quote. But at the stage of like getting new builders, you definitely want to get more than 1 quote. And when you're getting quotes, little tips like this is, what I ask builders when I'm trying to find builders is, you want to ask them, you want to ask a builder what their day rate is. And then ask them, how long will this take afterwards? You know, it's a simple question, so don't put them on the spot. So if they say, oh, my day rate's £100, let's say their day rate is £80, just for an easy example with math, and they do a 10-hour day, so they're £10 an hour. If they're going to go and change a lock, what takes an hour, and then they put an invoice in for £100, you're like, okay, how long did it take to go and pick the lock up? Because fair enough, they've got to use their time for travel. And how long does it take to fix it? It's 2 hours. I thought your day rate was, and you can ask these questions, it takes the embarrassment out of it. It still is a bit awkward, but it really takes the embarrassment out of it. You know, so then if you always ask what the day rate is first, So important. Ask that first, you know. Put a big star next to that. Ask what their day rate is first, because then you can get a gauge of when they're pricing you for smaller jobs. Of course, they don't smart price you for a smaller job. The travel's got to be involved with it, and the fact they've got to travel around to different jobs and there's time lost in between there. You allow for it to be a little bit more, but if you know something's going to take them half hour and they're putting in £100 labour bill for it, and you know a day rate's £100 a day, then you know there's something off. But it also aligns them with that, because some builders will try their luck and come in with quite a chunky quote at the front end just to see if they can get away with it. But if you manage your expectations from the start, it helps them to come in where it's at. Also, another tip is with builders, sorry guys, this might look a bit messy at the end, is tell them what you already pay, what your expectations are. If you get a house painted for £1,000, tell them we usually get it painted for about £1,000. So tell them your expectations at the start, and then you can not waste their time. When I meet a builder, I'll say to them, I'll tell them, I'll just scrub that out, but I'll tell my builder straight away at the start, look, we usually get a kitchen fit for this, we usually get this fit for that, we usually get that fit for that. If you're miles away from that, I don't want to waste your time putting together a quote for me, because it's wasting both our time, wasting my time really, wasting your time putting it together. Appreciate if they get work and they're beyond that, but you then keep that expectation and manage expectations is so important. So I hope you find that useful, guys. Every time I come out of here, it takes my list away. So number 3, let's get my list up. You want to get a time scale on the quotes. There might be more than 9 here, guys. You want to get time scale on the quotes, because then this manages it when you're managing it through at a later date, you know. So you say, roughly how long will it take? It feeds into this one here. Sorry, this is getting a bit messy, but it feeds into this one here. So if they say it's going to take 2 weeks, say how many lads on the labour, you can then start backtracking how much it is. Don't get me wrong, if they've got more than one person on there, you've got to allow for them to earn money, you've got to allow for them to put a markup on managing the other trades that they're going to bring in now, which is all fair. But I think a fair markup is if they can get a plumber in at a rate at 150 a day, for instance, and they put a 20 to 30% markup on that, I feel that's fair. If they put 100% markup on that and charge me 150 on top of that, then that's not fair for me. I tell them this at the start, as I said, when I'm managing the expectation, but get a time scale from them. I'm not sure if I'm going to fit these in. I might have to rub these off, and this might be a bit of a mess. What I should do is get a bit of a different colour on each one of these guys, so this stands out a little bit for you, a little bit better. So number 4 is an agreement with the builder. So this is part of your pre-qualifier. So you want an agreement with them. On things on the agreement, you want to make it light, but one of the keys with agreements, builders won't want to read through contracts. It put a lot of them off, unless it's a big contractor. But I tend to, where we do single buy-to-lets, we try to keep under 15k on the refurbs, usually around 7 to 10, definitely not over 20. So these only usually take 3-4 weeks maximum, depending on how good we've managed them at the back end and how good the builder is. But unless you're doing commercial conversion or development out of ground, you don't want it too lengthy or you'll put the builder off. But the key with these agreements, and this is one of your pre-qualifiers, is to verbally say it first. So verbal, I think that's how I spell it. You want to verbally say it first, like to them. So say to them, look, this is the payment schedule, this is how we'll pay it out. So what we'll do is we'll pay 50% up front, and then as long as all the work's done and snagged and completed to the agreed, that's why you've really got to have a schedule. So it's going back to this one here, having a schedule. These all lead into each other. Once it's agreed to the agreed schedule, then we'll pay you the remaining 100%. If it don't get completed to the agreed schedule, we're going to take that remaining 50% and use that money to get it done to that agreed schedule. Are you okay with that? Because and then you say words like, I've been stung with this in the past. Like, so, like, surely I don't think you'll be fair. I'm embarrassed. I say to them, I am embarrassed as well. I'm embarrassed to ask you this, but if you can agree that, then we can agree the job. And most of them go, yeah, of course, because for them to say no in front of you would tell you that they're a rogue trader, basically. So the ones that say no just won't answer your call again, will say yes, might not answer your call again, then you've already pre-qualified them and de-qualified them, and you're better off them not calling you back if they can't adhere to that. But then once they have agreed, you then get it in signable and ask them to sign it. Say it's easy. Say, look, just send you an email to sign it. I'll work with investors. Say, look, so the investor can see it, you can see it, or if it's even for myself, then get them then to sign this. Get them then to sign. Let's try and get a different colour out. because that one's getting a bit wayward. So the next one is, sorry guys, this keeps on jumping out. The next one is a key safe. Get a key safe on the properties. That makes it so much easier. Such a simple little trick. Get a key safe fitted when you pick the keys up. Some of the best ones are so simple, but again, we use task management, but then we give out the key safe code to all the builders. At the end of it, don't forget to change the key safe code, but don't leave keys in it anyway. We don't. We used to. But we only put keys back in it when we leave the key safe on the wall, but then when it comes to a turnaround on the tenant, we put the keys back in, so then the people doing the viewings, the cleaners, the builders, everybody can get in and out nice and systematically. So key safe is such a simple little one, but so effective. Some of the simpler ones so effective. It's made our life so much easier. Where are we at now? Let's try and get a few different colours for you, as I said. The purple's not working too well. So once you've got that all done there, you want to create a pre-flight checklist basically, and we use a task management tool for that. We use one called Basecamp. I'll put that in the notes if anybody asks for that. But you can use any software one, use it similarly, but we put in all our tasks from picking up the keys to the quotes, everything in there in a checklist. So planes are so efficient, and the most efficient form of transport, one of the most efficient industries out there, because they have the pre-flight checklists, and everybody can be involved with it. And on ours, we tag in the person that's involved with it. We even use the builders on it. I'd say 8 out of 10 of our builders agree to use it. Not all of them do, but then you make a judgment on that builder. If they're a really good builder, or you haven't got another builder, and it's the only choice you've got, then you might make an exception. But most of them will work it, and a lot of them, when they start working it, they really get pleased with, because it makes it more easier for them to manage their jobs also. So having a pre-checklist with everything in there. On our software, we've got documents in every single stage of how to do it. So if it's collect the keys and put a key safe on, we describe how you do it, and here's the numbers of the people you'd phone up to do that. You know, and then you can task it to somebody completely new, and the little manual of how to do each step is in there, you know. So at certain stages, you want to get it advertised, and we've got all that on our stage. So create a checklist using a software. Using the software makes it makes it so much more efficient. Sorry guys, my spelling is atrocious, so if there's any grammar police out there, I'm going to apologise in advance. So the next one is, sorry, and again this keeps on going on and off. In here I'm super excited, let's get engaged in this. It's all going to be about virtual investing and remote investing and building up the confidence with others. So I'm really super excited and pleased that you're all engaged. It's one of the things I'm scared of doing in case nobody joined it and nobody engaged, but you're all engaging. And from the little amount of people we've got like following the page so far, which has only been open just 2 weeks I think, we're getting a lot of engagement and a lot of people interacting, so that's fantastic. So I said, having a task management, pre-qualifier, got these in difficult order. So having that payment plan, I mentioned this a little bit earlier on, is a payment plan. Some of these lead into each other. I might have been able to mould these into each other. We spent a bit more time on it. But that payment plan, with that agreement in there saying that we'll take the remaining money to pay to get the job running. If it ain't right, if it ain't done to the agreed standard, is such a key part. Like I'm not actually sure how to word that in a short thing. I'll just put take money, but it's such a key part. Is you agree that verbally first, as I said, before you actually give them that agreement, because you'll put them off. Number 8 is create a WhatsApp group, especially if you use investors. You know, you can use your task management software, but you want to create a WhatsApp group and ask them to do daily updates on there. So pictures, we ask for pictures. So when I work with my investors' properties, because a lot of them don't see them and don't go up there, pictures speak 1,000 words. So WhatsApp group, because depending what phone they are, say we use a WhatsApp group because as I said, 8 out of 10 of our builders will use our software, but one of them might be on this refurb that's not using it. And we don't bring our investors into the WhatsApp, into our software. Like we could, but we use the WhatsApp because it's a little bit more universal for them, and it's just a separate area from all the tasks. We don't want our investors seeing the tasks within there because we like to manage that outside of them and try to iron out any problems before they actually see it. So a WhatsApp group, and have daily photos in there and videos. This is fantastic. Also, you can do a daily, you could do like a video call with them and updates if you want. But yeah, this keeps that management and them accountable, so they're on the job and you know they're turning up every day. When I didn't used to do this, I used to turn up there sometimes. I used to like turning up in my area without telling them. And I'd turn up on a job that builders meant to be working on, and they've obviously gone off and squeezed another job in the middle, and there's nobody on site. So this WhatsApp thing, it helps keep them accountable. They want to keep on track. If you keep them on track, they get more work from you. They get more work from you. They've got their bread and butter stuff done. But yeah, just daily updates. You can do them over Skype. You can do like walk rounds. But agree this at the agreement stage up here. And just say to them, I'd like this, and just tell them you want them regular updates. And keep reminding them. Don't forget to put the updates on today, guys. If you're working with investors, what I say to the builders is any challenges you get, don't put the challenges straight in the group and scare the investor. Because paying me and my team, part of our job is to take the stress away from the investor. So we don't want stressing about something that might be able to be resolved without even giving the stress. You tell them afterwards once you resolved it, but you don't give them the stress of thinking about the problem. You know, you resolve it, come up, you might put up a carpet, and in our agreement with investors, we've got in there, look, everything on this will get done within the agreed price, and that's on the agreement with the builder also. But then you say to them, any unforeseeables, like we pulled a carpet up before, had dry rot, you couldn't see that until you got in there, is an extra. And we agree that with builders, that's on our agreement with the builder also. But if we pulled that up, I don't want to worry the builder, the investor, until I've actually got a quote and a price on that, you know, so we know a little bit more about it. It might be a case of just painting with some treatment as opposed to ripping all up. We had to rip this whole floor up and put new joists in $1,000, you know. So again, get them to message you outside of that WhatsApp group and don't put everybody in now. And yeah, I think I've squeezed a few of these into 2, so it's not a 9, it's 8. So guys, I'm going to see if I can turn around the screen here. I'm not sure if it will turn around, but I'll see if I can turn around the screen here. If I can turn it around. No, let's quickly go through these again. So these steps you want to do when you manage it remotely. Your task management thing is probably your most important one. So let's put task management at the bottom here. It's your most important task management piece of software and kit. Just between the people managing, like your managers, the people on the ground, is it's so important. But it's so important even if you work in an office. They're so efficient. You can keep, like if we've got an extra, like as I said, we pulled the flooring up and we've got like woodworm and rot. We can make that a separate task, and all the photos, all the conversations will be underneath that one bit between us and the builder. And then once we've got a resolution to it, relate to the WhatsApp group for the investor. But yeah, you want a schedule of work. You want to finding your builders. Probably change that to find. You want to find your builder. So rate your people, check a trade, ask everybody. You want to have time scales on there, like schedule of the time scales. You want to verbally agree to that. As I said, remember, when you find your builder, a very, very important thing is ask them what their day rate is. This will manage expectations on what it'll be, and also then ask them, tell them what you expect to pay. So make sure they're within reason. Some of them ain't good admin people, so you've got to make your judgment. Some people, you know, do a good job, and their quotes ain't to detail, but they do a good job, then you take the judgment on it. Also, you take the judgment on, if you've got 3 builders around you, and one of them won't write down a quote, then they're out of the game. If you've only got one builder and you can't find another one that even will quote because they're all too busy, then you might be a little bit more lenient on making them do this. But you generally, as a good rule of thumb, you do want them to write down a written quote and break down where the costs are at, because then you can analyse where they're at with their pricing. Because quite a few of them will be a little bit sneaky about it. They'll add on in certain areas where you just know it's not. And I'll just talk through it and say to them, if there's, as I said, if there's a handle on there and they've quoted £150, I say, is that handle not a £10 an hour handle? Why not take an hour? It's an easier question, and then really outright, you say, if you've maybe made a mistake with that, and just words like that help you manage it through with them. So important. get the agreement verbally first and then signed via signable ideally, makes it quicker and easier. You can do it with investors. Key safe, so key. Pre-fight checklist, having that checklist on your task management so these two go into each other. A lot of these are into each other. Maybe able to squeeze these in a little bit better before we through, guys, but apologies, I didn't do that, but you still get the drift of it. Payment plan, sorry, I thought I said day there, I wasn't looking at the P there. Payment plan, like, so to make sure that agreement's in there, that you will use the money to get it done right, if it's not done to the agreed level up here. So, yeah, that's so important with the payment plan. And another little tip, I forgot to say on this one, another little tip from here is, if you're not on the ground up there, ask the agent, the letting agent, to do the final snag. Say, can you go and check that property to see it's ready for rentable and make sure the fire alarms are done. And most of them you've got a good relationship will do this without charging you, you know, so you can use your letting agent for the final snag. Because somebody might take a video around, we won't pay them 100%, so everything's gone, bags, everything. So if there's some rubbish there, if I've got a relationship with the builder, I might say, okay, we'll pay you 90%, but we want everything finished. Or it might be a genuine case, I was waiting for a door and the door couldn't get delivered and they couldn't finish it. So if that's the case, I will then similarly again say, okay, here's 90 or 95%, but we're not paying until you finish it. Because the nature of people is they'll squeeze other jobs in, they might even be genuine. But if they know they've got to come back, they've been paid for it and there's a new job that come up and it's urgent for them, they might be, oh, I'll just quickly squeeze that one in because it's another payday for us. So if they're not paid, they will come back and get it done. And the WhatsApp group, photos, daily updates, walk-arounds with videos, very, very important. Keep communication out of sight, out of mind. When I never used to do this, we had builders just, it would take us like 2 months to do a job that should have took maybe 2 weeks, a week, because they were just squeezing us here and there, willy-nilly. So really important, but also gives you, especially if you've got investors, it gives you visuals, keeps them on the ball, and your task management is the most important thing that will glue all of this together. I don't look for a Chelsea penthouse £1 million apartment standard finish, but I expect it to be done to a decent standard. But I'm not worried if the cutting in ain't been done perfectly. We generally whitewash everything anyway, so it's safe cutting in. I'm not worried if a plug's been slightly crooked, not ideal, but yeah. So I verbally agreed what sort of standard it is, and then it does pay, as I said. This is why, guys, it pays to get an area that you can travel to. So really, on the first ones, on day, you want to arrange it and get a deadline on this. Which probably should have added to this. Get a deadline on this. This is great about the question. It drags more out of it. But get a deadline on it on a date you can turn up there. And then you can go over it a few times with them and manage expectations. But verbally at the start, just tell them how well you want it and tell them, look, I don't want loads of time spent and extra money spent on getting this perfect, but I want it as a nice, tidy job that you could go and move into yourself and it's tidy and clean. So yeah, keep on communicating. Thanks so much for being so interactive. Thanks everybody on my training program for jumping on. I see loads of you have been super active already, like ticking off tasks, getting there. Let us know how you find that. And we all had a checklist there to keep you on track, that accountability. You can all see what each other are doing, which is, on a psychological point of view, that keeps you way more accountable. When you know, if you look in that group and somebody else has ticked them all and you've only ticked one, you're like, oh, I better get out of my own way and start sort of pulling my finger out. But great stuff, guys. Really looking forward to the actual training we're doing with everybody. And looking forward to doing these every week. Thanks for making this engaging. Remember, if you don't involve your ideas, you'll never live on your own terms. So involve your ideas, live on your own terms. Have a fantastic weekend and Sunday, guys.